story begins in a certain antique dormitory called Kiswaizo. A guy was sweeping the front yard in his usual no-eyes main character, and his name was Satoshi. This was a hot day and it was a perfect weather for doing laundry. Meanwhile, a female resident of the share house was in a rush because she was late. She almost kissed the ground but managed to regain her balance and greeted our main character. Her name was May. She works as a sports instructor. She was also the person who saved him from unemployment because she introduced him to become the caretaker of their share house, into the household chores for them. Aside from that, he considers her as his goddess. She suddenly came up close to his ears and whispered, "Thank you, thank you." After the chief's kissing scene, she immediately left. Obviously, he was happy with that, and for sure, any single guy would be smiling like that after getting a nice cheap kiss. After that happiness, it turned into pain real quick because a kick from a girl behind. She was Sake and she works as a security guard. If I'm rich, I would hire thick female security guards in my house. Anyways, his first encounter with her was during his cleaning session on the bathroom when he accidentally opened the door while she was inside. She had martial arts skill because of her job, so the main character received her raging kick in his family jewels. Rest in peace to his future generations. Even though he told her it was an accident, her negative impression of him still remains, and she always glared at him. Then she gave him a lucky guy guillotine choke, and she left with her sassy walking style. They also have a tenant on this share house named Rurika. Her hobbies were making this kind of art. I think it's BL, why are you good? Lastly, a floating loli appeared beside him. Her name was Ibaraki, and she claims to be a goddess that watch over this share house. Kids will, so only the main character can see her. She asked him to play with her and he just keeps on ignoring her and continued sweeping. Suddenly she told him that she heard a whistle sound from the kitchen. It was obviously a boiling kettle, so the main character immediately ran towards the kitchen and then crashed to the ground while the loli laughs at him. It was a tiring day for him, but at least he should be happy to get a job and chicks around the house. In his sleep, he remembered his first encounter with Ibaraki. She was badass back then, and probably she lived for more than hundreds of years. She told him that the Kiswaizo was losing the power that she needed. In other words, her power came from Kiswaizo. To make her acquire the power she needed, the men and women living in this share house to have romantic activities. Because he was the only guy in this share house, she asked him to pour out his love. After that throwback moments, he continued to sleep. The moment he woke up, he saw May eating his hot dog the vertical way. It was his hot dog inside his bento, and she enjoyed it because the hot dog was made from a Fiv Wagyu meat. She noticed that he was awake, then she apologized to him for the disturbance. He asked her to stop, but she told him that it was for his celebration in moving in the share house. Then she continued eating the afiv meat because it was a special occasion. She knows that he works a lot and never got a chance to find a girlfriend, so she decided to accompany him. It was a heartwarming moment for him since he never experienced a first-time wholesome moments. She was happy knowing that she was the first girl to pay attention to him. After that, she paid him with a refreshing 69 Fahrenheit of her freshly extracted coconut water. Both of them eat each other's food, and it was a delicious and refreshing breakfast. Then they played a two-player FPS offline game for the first time. Both of them choose the no-defense mode so they can feel a more intense first-time match. By the way, she was dominating him in their offline FPS game with her aggressive smashing moves. She noticed that he keeps on glancing on the front yard melons, so she let him do a close-range checkup too. After that, May performed an exercise with a series of ultra-fast squats. That was a tiring exercise, so he gave her a vanilla milkshake. The next day, our main character was whining after having a fun time with May. I don't know what's wrong with him, he should be happy. Anyways, the lowly goddess appeared and congratulated him for a job well done because of his wholesome romantic activities with May. The lowly goddess have now gained back some of her powers. She demonstrated her power, but it can only do a fast squat and a fast push-ups. Anyways, the reason why he was a crybaby was because he gave May an amateur-level vanilla milkshake. The lowly goddess comforted him and explained that May wanted his vanilla milkshake and there is nothing for him to worry about. Then she told him that the next menu on his food chain would be Sake. He was hesitating to vanilla mode with Sake because she was a strong, independent woman since it was a difficult wall to overcome. The lowly goddess decided to help him. The day was over and the night have come. Sake was walking towards the private business cubicle to do her shower of gold. During that moment, the main character was also going inside the cubicle to replenish the tissue supply. He was carrying tons of tissue, probably the tissue easily runs out because of its wide range of usage. By the way, he noticed it was locked, but the goddess used her power to unlock the door. He saw her brewing a golden energy drink. The goddess was like a devil, always forcing him to do unexpected things. Because of the plot armor, it turned into a supernatural anime accident's lucky moment. She was so surprised to see the main character drinking her leftover golden energy drink. It was uncomfortable for her to see that someone was drinking her leftovers. She told him to stop, but he don't want to waste a single drop because according to the World Health Organization, there are 2.1 billion people who lack the access of clean water. Anyways, she was humiliated by his level 1000 rate permitted verbal attacks that was teaching her a water conservation lesson. She cannot counterattack with his words of wisdom, so she used her ancient water-bending martial art technique to shut him up. It turns out using water-bending technique was like a double-edged sword because it drains her energy. Since it had come to this point of no return, she wanted him to take responsibility by taking care of her. He cannot understand his responsibilities, so the lowly goddess guided his injection shot to Sake because he was a coward to give her his injection treatment. It was obvious while ago she needs some vitamin C. Well, it was her first time to get a vitamin C vaccination, so she feel the stinging sensation. By the way, she describes it like a knife staff. She was a strong woman, so she faced his treatment with an open heart. Then she felt a numb sensation, probably the main character used in anesthesia on her. Time was an important element when treating patients that he speed up the process. His vitamin C was injected to her since it have a fast healing properties. She feels good now. In the end, they performed some kiss scene for romantic effects. Okay, a few days passed and during the night our main character was doing a study grind. He had a short-term memory and he already forgot the lecture back at the university. That was a hard time for him, but now he will be having more hard time because she showed up. He continued doing his study session with the best of his concentration. The lowly goddess was insensitive and continued to disturb him. She tried using her flat assets to attract him, but it have a zero impact on him. Then eventually, she told him her main objectives in coming to him tonight aside from Prince, if she was talking about something else like love, for example. Because she was a deity with more than hundreds of years of existence, and she never tried the romance feature, that gave him a shock because he already have 2 girls on his harem. Anyways, she was having a close-up examination with his sword. She know that his sword have special abilities of size adjusting characteristic, and she was curious on how it works. Aside from that, she noticed that his sword was not battle-ready, so she used her goddess water of revitalization, and immediately his sword regained its former glory. She tried fighting with the awakened sword, and she got hurt immediately the moment the sword touched her. He did not expect that despite her being a goddess for a very long time, she was a beginner in a sword fight. By the way, a while ago she mentioned romance feature, said he gave her a kiss. He told her that he would lead the way on their sword training. She cannot handle the intense training, so he comforted her by giving her some head pats. He used his 3-sword style on her, and she can feel his burning passion of sword usage. Also, if you use a mind-manipulating sword on her, and now all she thinks was his sword. She reached her maximum limit, but the main character was still good to go, so she break her limits. And in the end, they reached the conclusion of their sword training together. Both of them were tired after doing such heavy exercises, so they took a nap. Because of their bonding time, the goddess started to fall in love with him. Meanwhile, we can see 2 pairs of feet moving towards a certain direction. On the right side was May, and on the left side was Sake. Both of them have similar destination, and it was the room of our main character. They have a confrontation with each other because they have a similar love interest. Then they open his door without knocking and saw him with a vertical rod. By the way, only the main character can see the lowly goddess. The girls wanted to have a wholesome vanilla time with him, and both of them started a rivalry. Also, they fought for the ownership of his self-made organic pig plushie. He tried to stop their rivalry, and both of them just shut his mouth because they have women rights. Meanwhile, the lowly goddess was downhearted because she was not able to have an extra time to acquire more vanilla milkshake. But anyways, it was a win-win situation for the goddess, because for every time the sharehouse tenants do romantic activities, she will literally gain powers. The end was kinda scary, getting chased by 2 females inside a house during the night. Well, at least he enjoyed working in this share house. Thank you for watching. Please drop a like and sub in your creative comments. Bye.